so let's get started. Just to define terms in terms of what we're talking about. As we begin our journey, say as a young PhD or in industry or anywhere, right? You need to find what is that research gap? What is that need or unknown question that we're looking to solve, right? And where is there? I always think of it more as a softness in the literature, right? But where is there a lack of solid agreed upon research? How do we identify that, right? That's always tough, especially for someone who's just starting out in their profession, in their field, to know that, right? So I think oftentimes, you have to really talk with your mentors, be plugged into the literature or attending conferences, so you can find that. I think when what's challenging, at least looking back in my career, right, is you read a textbook, right, and it's what we know, but that doesn't cover often what we don't know. So your goal as a researcher is to really hone in on, hey, where's that kind of gray area? Where's there gaps? And then to really find what interests you and really it's a passion, and then from there be able to build out research questions. And these research questions can be, as I mentioned, unsolved questions or problems within the field, but they can also be things where there's contradictory evidence or inconclusive evidence. I think we see that often where, maybe one lab or one group says, the data should be this way, one should be that way. So I think exploring that is really exciting, potentially depending on what you're doing. Um, Entirely new concepts or ideas are also can be a research question. But even things like here, this fourth bullet, new or updated research, things are iterative. They build on each other, right? So I think it could be a new way to look at something that really is an update, but still has a new way of looking at something. And then also a specific demographic or location that has not been well studied. I think that's another thing that um, there's always opportunities to build on. The classic example, I come out of medicine, as in terms of my background, was for a long time, women were not included in a lot of research. So a lot of the initial um, cardiovascular and BMI studies in the 70s and 80s really only looked at middle-aged men of European descent, at least in the United States. So there was a whole area of research of looking at that time, women, looking at African Americans, and how they present clinically is very different in terms of, they say, like a heart attack. And I know this is expanded into looking into other areas. The initial research was good, but maybe the presentation is very different in, say, individuals from East Asia or other areas. So that's a nice example of maybe specific demographics or locations, how things can maybe be localized to, say, the Middle Eastern context. There's opportunities there in terms of demographics, but also locations that maybe the research has been done, but it can be adapted and localized. So